Billiken fans, we tried to get Katie Shields for this one, but she said, 6 championships was one too many. She's big time. 5, she was on our level. 6, she's above us. No, we thought we'd give her a break from the constant media blitz. We thought we'd bring out our right-hand man, associate head coach, set piece guru, recruiting coordinator, and distinguished bald gentleman, Chris Allen.
I'm so excited to be here. I mean, thanks for the bald reference. Bald is beautiful. Happy member of the Bald Club. I got to be honest. I feel pretty bad for Peter because there's a lot of ADHD on the screen between myself and Zach. So it could be a long night for him. It's a tough crew to keep.
I've learned how to tune out when I need to.
Oh my gosh. Chris, I got to tell you, I'm disappointed in you guys. You've all made me a bad loser. Like okay. I'm a terrible loser now because like when I can't deal with it. Like my team goes down in any other sport, but women's soccer, and I just turn it off. Like, I'm like, it's over. They stink. This is your fault.
Well, we apologize on behalf of Katie in the program. We apologize.
No. I mean, congratulations. First of all, like what is this? I just kind of, how has this happened?
Yeah. I think first, thank you. It really is an unbelievable achievement. And I think sometimes when you do it so many times and you do it so many times consecutively, it might lose a little bit of that specialness for people not in the program. And it becomes like an expectation a little bit, but it doesn't make it any less impressive to continue to take like the best shots of every team in the A10 and come out on the other side of it, and many times in dominant fashion. It's something to be celebrated for sure, and I think when you have a head coach like Katie Shields and man, a SoCal kid who goes to Harvard and comes and settles in the Midwest, I mean, she's one of, if not the best coach in the absolute country. And so when that's your leader and setting the tone on a daily basis, it's easy to follow, and I think like you guys have experienced her competitive mentality on a daily basis of like, how do we get better? How do we get better constantly? What's next? What else we got to do? It just feeds into every person that she brings into the program, staff, player, coaches, whatever it is that everyone is very much in alignment and, ready to follow her at her first step.
Competitiveness seems to be something that a lot of your players really buy into and share and just have. I want to ask about Emily Gaebe first. What makes her so special? What makes her such a good scorer? She's scoring at a ridiculous rate right now. Zach and I earlier in this season had kind of talked about like, I don't know about her finishing sometimes, and I don't know if she was listening or what, but the message got through, and she's been unbelievable since then. So what is it about her that makes her that special?
I think one of our little secret sauce a little bit is we love multi-sport athletes. And it is so difficult to find a non-competitive basketball player. And it doesn't get talked about quite a bit, but Emily Gaebe was a phenomenal basketball player at Union High School, in addition to soccer and stuff like that. And if you start really looking at our lineup, Lindsay Heckel was a phenomenal basketball player at Nerix Hall. Caroline Kelly, a phenomenal basketball player at Kearney High School out of Kansas City. And so for us, we think that we just really find these kids that love to compete. And for us, her ability to use her body, just got done watching, the men's team put up over 100 on Lincoln and whatnot. And just the way that they use their arms. And you'll notice with Gaebe, like defenders kind of bounce off of her in a way that they don't bounce off of other forwards, if you will. And my God, that she buried that LaSalle kid in the corner. But besides that, it's just one of those things, like she knows how to use her body so effectively. And we don't think that she's that level of soccer player without a significant amount of basketball in her life and background. And so it really is something that when we can find a dual sport athlete, we know we're getting a competitor in that respect.
Yeah, I just remember the Jay DeMerit documentary. Like that's the first thing that rings in my head, like the highlights of him playing basketball and then switching, which is kind of the way that Lindsay Heckel, she made the same transition into college. But What about this team has impressed you this season? And where do you think they can, do better going into the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, I think that we were struggling by our expectations, our standards a little bit kind of earlier, midway through the season. We just weren't scoring, weren't starting games off as well as we would like to. I think a lot of it is we got healthy, and not that we were hiding anything, but we had a lot of kids that had some really minor injuries that were limited by minutes and stuff like that. And now all of a sudden we're kind of full bore and going there. But I think our attacking gets a lot of credit, and they should. They score a lot of goals, but what we've been able to do on the defensive side of the ball to only give up one goal in A10 play, and my God, we want that goal back against Dayton. It was not a good goal to give up, but it's I think that we are really, really firing on kind of all cylinders right now, from an attacking, from a defending. We got our press going. Our press is generating attacks out of it. We feel really prepped and ready to go. And ready to host Indiana on Friday.
Zach called you the set piece guru. How do you go about drawing those up, and how often do you add new wrinkles to those?
I mean, that guru, that term gets thrown around a lot, pretty loosely, but I'm a former basketball coach. Like, I really do enjoy that aspect of soccer, because soccer is kind of cool in that it is a very player-centric game, whereas basketball and football is very coach-centric. So this is like the one moment where soccer kind of stops, slows down, and becomes a little bit, more on like what play designs would look like and stuff like that. But we probably have anywhere in the ballpark of like 10 to 12 sets, and we will kind of throw in 4 or 5 per game and make some slight modifications depending on the team that we're playing, and try to figure out what their principles of play are, what they're trying to do, and then really try to mess them up with some of our movements and get them to kind of pull them out of places that they don't want to be in, attack spaces with service that we really like to get into. So all in all, I think we'll have a new one for Indiana. We typically have one new one for each and every game, and if it works, and we probably keep it in the repertoire from that. But about 10 to 12 overall that our kids know, and then we modify on a game-to-game basis.
To follow up on that,
yeah.
with Katie Hauk, it seems like you're just, if she has the ball anywhere near the half line in a set piece, you're just going to put it in front of the goal somewhere. What's the mindset there? I mean, is that something you do regardless of opponent? Is it just that you're just going to take advantage of her big foot to cause some chaos in front of the net?
I mean, I think that's it. It's just you flight a ball into the 18, and a lot of different things can kind of happen, from that standpoint. She does have the ability, when she is really truly like driving it and stuff like that, we have the ability to get a flick on, get in the back of the net, but she also has the ability to score off of it a little bit. Sometimes I think she gets pretty goal hungry and she goes for the goal, and then all of a sudden it's running over the top. But, we kind of ideally want that thing landing, about the PK spot and create a little chaos and just take advantage of her ability to kind of put the ball in, because not many teams have a kid like that you win a foul around half field, and now it really is a set piece threatening opportunity.
One thing, it's been drilled in about this team and this program is the culture. And one thing I like to do now, I've seen so many games that I kind of like to find something new to look at every so often. And watching the other team in pre-games, kind of what they're doing while, the pre-game mix is playing, the girls the women are dancing, they're hyped up. I love looking at that other team because they're kind of looking over like, what? Like, God damn it. How do you balance, like, how does this team balance staying locked in, but also keeping loose and having fun in pregame?
I think it's a really good indicator if you can get to Herman early about how loose and how many smiles and what level of dancing. When we are dancing, when the kids are joyous, when they're bouncing around, when they're laughing, we play our best. when they're kind of locked in and tight and stuff like that. And we've learned a lot of lessons, I believe, from kind of last year's defeat to Memphis in the first round of the NCAA. And man, it was a completely different pregame and bench and all. We just looked very stoic and very stern, and you could just feel kind of the nerves like on us and whatnot. And so I think it's a great point, Zach. Like, when we're going, we're ready, the kids are dancing, and it's not in disrespect to the other team. It's just our kids, like, they're competitive, like they are badasses. They enjoy competition and they like to have fun with it and celebrate with it. And so I think it's the type of kids that we recruit. We recruit very positive, high energy type of kids that are competitive and that like really celebrate one another, because I would put our bench culture up there with any team in the country in terms of their excitability, their support from one another, them being locked into the game. And then once their turn, they're ready to, change it for us.
So how do you make go ahead.
No, I was going to try to see if I could remember what I was going to ask, and because I had forgotten it and then I started and I lost it again.
Well, I'm just wondering, how do you keep that that balance right, that tone right when you do have a Big Ten opponent coming in for an NCAA game, and it's just a totally different level of pressure, and most of them do have memories of last season there as well. It's like I know it's all well and good to say that we have the character of player who can do that, but you still got to make sure that environment is there on that game day, right?
Absolutely. And so I think from, coaches, we need to keep it light, and anytime we do a scout on an opponent, we always start the scout with some interesting, funny, or personal a little bit and try to get them laughing and joking and stuff like that. So, we'll talk a little bit about why the Hoosiers are called the Hoosiers, maybe get into some candy stripe stuff, maybe some good Bob Knight moments, throwing chairs across the gym, and just try to take a little bit of the focus initially just off the X's and O's in the game and stuff like that. And we kind of do a what the face. Soccer players make the worst faces, so we'll bring that in. And
we're talking about Percelli's
make
save.
Fun of ourselves a little bit. And
Percelli's save, reaching back.
Absolutely.
That was
absolutely. So that's been a highlight film. The kids send photos all the time. So, in our preparation, we try to keep it as light as we can. We try to crank the music, but it's not easy. You know what I mean? Because I think with last year's, kind of stubbing the toe at that point, I do feel our kids are feeling a little bit of that, and so I think, just for us is all we can do is focus on Indiana. We can't control what's next or anything like that. It's just got to go play against the red and white and have some success.
I certainly, I hear what you're saying about the no disrespect to the other team, but in a lot of ways, it's kind of part of it's the game before game within the game. I honestly, within the A10, I think your team's like to quote her, or to quote the movie Miracle, their main weapon is intimidation. They are the most confident team out there, and they know they're gonna put it on you, and the other team sees that that. And so I don't know what your thoughts are.
No, I will say this: it is not strategic in terms of
not planned, but
but I do think that there's a looseness and there's a confidence in our preparation and what we've done, and like they're excited to get on stage and perform.
I want to look at Indiana a little bit. It's a team where, if I'm kind of looking at what they did this season and their personnel and everything, it's kind of hard to ignore Paige Weber. Yeah, and I'm just
I'm just wondering. Of her, Chris?
Yeah.
What? Peter's giving me intel. No, it's yeah.
You didn't buy a ticket, did you? You didn't buy a ticket, did you, Pete? You can't buy a ticket for the
literally
game.
Being like, damn it, I don't have that kid down. No, yeah, she's something special, man.
I know. Yeah, I'm not breaking anything new here, but I'm just kind of wondering, when they have somebody who's such a clear number one like that, how do you prepare?
I think, and I think she's become a fan favorite of your guys' show. We face her every day in practice with Hannah Sawyer. She is, I don't know if you've actually seen video of her. She is very, very similar to Hannah Sawyer in that, like, her stop to start is unbelievable. And, Hannah Sawyer can clock, I think she clocked 19.8 miles per hour on a sprint earlier this year. Like, that kid can absolutely move. Paige Weber from Indiana can absolutely move. So we just got to throw some obstacles in her way a little bit. And, make sure she knows our defense is there. And we're, when you're playing a kid like that and speed like that, space is their friend and lack of space is not. And so we got to be very thoughtful about the space that we give her and the space that we don't.
Who yells at the refs more, you or Hannah Sawyer?
Man, it was so bad. Probably Hannah, if I'm being really honest. It's she's getting ready to go check into the game the other night, and then the LaSalle and the ref was giving away cards like candy, and Hannah chirps quite a bit, and so we're like, hey, as she's going to the game, like, keep your mouth closed, you know what I mean? Like, there's no need to say anything. Like, guys got a quick card, like, just be smart about it. As she's checking in, a 50-50 kind of throw-in goes against us. And Hannah throws up her arm. She's chirping at the fourth referee. And we're like, my God, like, we just 5 seconds ago, kid. And like, it's just, the kid can't help herself. Like, she just can't help herself. So no, we're still working on time and place with her. But I probably set a poor example in that respect.
Who do you think on this team? And I don't want to like throw anybody under the bus for where they started at, but like, who on this team, I guess, from where they came in as a freshman or to where they are now, depending, doesn't matter what class they are, but like whose leap from start to finish kind of surprised you the most?
Not surprised us, I guess, but like probably Hannah Sawyer. Like, she'll be the first to kind of say very kind of rough around the edges through the recruiting process, and not just in, some of the stuff you see from like talking to refs, and, she wears her heart on her sleeve, which is one of her best qualities, but sometimes it can be a little bit detrimental to performance on the field. She struggles at times to kind of let some things go, but like, what she's done in the classroom has been really, really special. She had a pretty tough upbringing. And like her heart is the biggest on the team. She is beloved on her team because of her energy, her smile. She's just, we did not realize that she would become almost like a glue player for us in the way that she has. And it's been pretty special to see her really like blossom at SLU, like overall, not just within our environment, but the university, the department. It really, not to get all corny, but this is a kid that's life has been changed by her experience within the university setting. And it's pretty cool. She's first generation college kid. It's a pretty special story.
Do you think there's anybody who's more competitive than she is on the roster?
Oh my God. Like,
or
Hannah Larson, maybe. It's like you get the two Hannahs. I mean, Caroline Kelly, like they are constantly wrestling. Like, I've never seen anything like it. Like, we can't get through warmups without them wrestling one another and tap. And Katie's like, Allen, break it up, and you're pulling kids off. Like, and it's all in good fun, but they are just nasty competitors in like the best way. And I think it's what makes us go.
How did you, are you from you're not from St. Louis, are you? Yeah, you are.
I am from St. Louis.
Yeah.
Kirkwood graduate, went to Truman State, got my master's degree at the Gonzaga University out in Spokane, Washington. When
Never
they were
heard of
doing
it.
the rise to prominence, I was there during that, which was really freaking cool. And my wife is from St. Louis, so here we are here with 3 kids in the background. So there we go.
What was it like, kind of going from boys soccer, I guess, playing to coaching girls and women?
I think it's like anything. It's when I first started out coaching, I was going to be a teacher, a high school teacher for over a decade. I got a job at Gonzaga Prep High School, same association as like SLU High to SLU University and whatnot. And they're like, hey, we got all these coaching positions. Would you be interested? And I was like, absolutely. And I started coaching girls soccer. And it's the first time I had like coached women in any, like maybe some camps and stuff like that. And I'm telling you, like, I fell in love with it right from the start. It is really interesting because then I'd go in the fall and coach the guys, and like, man, you give a halftime talk and you tell your team, like, we got to do this better. Like, this is ridiculous. We're not winning 50. We're not doing anything. And every guy's looking at you, nodding their head because you're talking about every single person except for them. You do the same talk, with females and women, and all the heads are down because you're just coming at them every single time. And so I think like really was very appreciative of the family environment and the community that they wanted to build, where the guys just seeming, just wanted to play. And whether they were punks or not, didn't really matter a whole lot to them, but really just kind of enjoyed that. And I found myself enjoying coaching girls in high school, sometimes more than guys and whatnot. And then when I had two daughters, my oldest Bailey's a freshman in college right now. My middle child Parker's a junior in high school. It just made sense to, kind of girl dad, coach girls. I've really enjoyed it.
In terms of recruiting, I'm wondering, bigger difference maker for soccer, has it been the soccer facility at the south end of the stadium, or has it been the Champion Center, or is it kind of still TBD?
I think it's a little TBD because the Legacy Center for us has been absolutely massive. Like it really, really has. And it really is something that has, we used to not show recruits our locker room, if we're being really like honest, and now to go in there and it is something that kind of blows people away. And it's a beautiful locker room, like, do not get me wrong, but like very few locker rooms are situated right next to the field. And so it's just such a cool kind of setting and very unique in that respect, that it's just sitting right there, really nice, really like well kept and whatnot. And so that's been very massive. And I think that you've seen with our 2025 recruiting class. We are incredibly excited, but we can't believe the level of kids that we got, how quickly we got them and stuff like that. And we think the Legacy Center with the Champion Center coming on the back end was a significant draw to allow those kids.
Do you think getting that increased level of talent is what can eventually bring you over the edge? Obviously, yes, of course it can, but is the stuff like I don't even know where I'm going. This now sounds like a stupid question. I guess my question is, how do you guys then push forward? Say you go on and win a few games in the tournament. How do you build on that? Obviously, you talked about Katie Shields. How do we get better every day?
I think it's, and not to do all the coach speak thing, but like it's controlling what we can control a little bit. And, I think that we don't chase, I don't know how to say this the right way. We don't chase recruiting rankings. We go find the right player for us. Emily Gaebe was not on anyone's recruiting board, not a high profile recruit by any means, but we knew that she was going to fit us like a glove. We knew that Caroline Kelly was going to fit us a little bit like a glove. And so for us, it's keep trying to find the right type of players that fit us and not simply go chasing stars that maybe don't. Because I think like what's really impressive about, 6 consecutive, titles and appearances and whatnot is that's multiple recruiting classes. That's like stacking these things together. It's bringing in the Hannah Sawyers who are ready to contribute and stuff like that. And so I think we just got to be very thoughtful to not lose what has gotten us to this point. It's badass kids that love to compete, regardless of their stars, just badass kids that love to compete. And we just keep building, getting a little bit better every year. And I think, I think we could be really set up if, obviously focus on Friday, but this could be a team that could make a Gonzaga-esque type of run if we can get going. So.
And in terms of like keeping the bigger picture momentum going as a program, I've definitely seen it. And Zach and I have talked about this like a couple seasons ago. You guys ran into Rutgers, right, in the postseason, and it was just like, okay, wow, that team is a bit faster, and like
it was like, holy shit, this is a different level.
There's a level of ability there, that right. And then like last year, you play teams kind of at that level, and you see the gap has closed, and like this year, I feel like it's closed even more. Like the speed and some of the other skill is like it's there, right? And not just the personnel, but I'm wondering what you do in terms of scheduling, because the A10 is a solid conference, but it's not the Big Ten or the SEC or the ACC or anything like that. How far in advance are you guys looking at like what you can do in the non-conference schedule, like next year and so forth?
Scheduling is a huge focus with us. We talk about it every day, like literally every day. And so it is no coincidence that like we went out to BYU. Basically, that was almost like a scheduled game after the Rutgers, because like we just simply were not ready to play we wanted to press. We don't like to change who we are, and we wanted to press Rutgers. And we looked like a CYC team going up against a college. Like we could not get near the ball and we were cones to them. And so like if ever we are going to advance and go through and go on a run in a tournament, like we have to be ready to play with and beat those teams. And so we knew that BYU was going to be, they're 2 years removed from playing in the national championship. They had everyone back. They were loaded and we're like, let's throw ourselves into the fire, like right off the bat. And my God, we got punched in the face and 2 goals in the first 5 minutes. And I think Katie was glaring at me like, what have you led us to? What are we doing here? But like the fact that our kids clawed back. And you know what I mean? And I think it's a loss is a loss, but I think there was a lot to take away from that of like, man, that game goes 10, 15 more minutes. And I don't think BYU is going to like the result of how that plays out. And so we got stronger as the game went on. And I think that gave us a significant level of confidence. We then go on the road to Brown. Brown, I think, is a top 7, top 8 RPI team or something like that right now. Disappointed to tie, but again, we're playing with the best of the best against some of the top forwards in the country. Go on the road to Nebraska. Beat them. I think they shared the Big Ten title, so I think one of the things that is confidence building for us is like, and this is no disrespect to Nebraska or anything like that, is like, we have seen teams that are better. We have seen the best of the best in college soccer. And so no one, regardless of conference affiliation and logo, no one's going to come in here and intimidate us. And so like, we are absolutely ready to go. We've seen what the best can do, and we know that we can play with it.
So I got kind of a pointed question, I guess, back to the LaSalle game in the final. In the second half there was a stretch of that game where things were not like connecting. I don't know. I'm not the soccer guy.
No, they were not connecting.
Yeah,
it was not a good half of soccer.
I know when things don't look good. But what kind of causes that, do you think, with this team? And then how do you as a coaching staff work to fix something like that?
I think what's awesome about working under Katie is the first thing we look at is like, we turn the mirror on ourselves. And like we said, like we just did not get the second half starting lineup right. Played some kids a few too many minutes in the first half. And then went back to them too early in the second half a little bit. I also think we got that early third goal. Again, I'm not great in these moments. I think we got an early third goal in the second half. When you go up 3-0, I hate to say it, the edge gets taken off a little bit. And as much as we want to keep it and keep pouring on and stuff like that, we then started subbing through because we knew we had a big game on Sunday and we were wanting to be well rested. We knew that Dayton and knew that we had other games to play, and it was getting really chippy out there. I mean, Hannah Larson getting tackled in the box. And so I think it was a little uncalled for, you know what I mean? And we were getting frustrated. I think the parents in us, immediately are like, hey, let's get that kid off the field right now before anything kind of worse happens. And then all of a sudden they started really pouring it on a little bit. And now we had to bring a lot of our starters back on who might've thought they were done for the day. So, I think we're the first to look at it that from a coaching standpoint, we didn't get it right in the first kind of 25 minutes. Now we did score a goal. We did miss a PK. We did have a goal called back. So if us not playing all that great for 45 minutes and still being able to win a title game 3-0 against the number 2 seed, like I hate to, like, that's the level of expectation that we have for ourselves. But I think if you zoom out from a perspective, to win 3-0 in a final is something that you take any day of the week.
I want to ask about Emily Pacelli. It seems like in that game in particular, well, for one, she had a lot more to do than she had in the games leading up to it. But I'm just kind of wondering, like, it seemed like she was kind of keeping the team focused, right? Like, how much of what we were kind of seeing on screen, or I guess Zach being there, like, how much was that actually translating to kind of keeping them on track?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, she really is like the rock and foundation of all of this. And, like I said before, it's all the attacking, the goals, like that's fun, that's going to get a lot of the press and stuff like that. But like, she truly is, like, without question, the best goalkeeper, not only in the conference, but one of the best in the actual nation. But because we have such a good defensive unit, you just don't get to see some of the highlight saves that other kids make. She also does a phenomenal job of positioning herself to not have to make highlight saves because she sweeps it up before it even gets to kind of that point. But you get to see a moment of like, she's under pressure, she's under duress. You're like, oh, I listened to you guys' podcast the other night. I agreed. I was like, oh, that's in the back of the net. And then she shoots the hand out. You're like, all right, good save. And so she kept us in it. And I think that she's the one who's like constantly, getting on our backs, keeping the edge and everything like that. But yeah, without her in goal, all of a sudden that game's like 3-2 and now we're in dicey territory. So it's always nice when she is tested. Everyone gets to see how truly talented she is.
Well, Chris, I'll let you kind of plug the game Friday night and I don't know. I don't think you should have to make a pitch because I think Pelican fans need to get the hell out to Herman Stadium Friday night.
No, it's just, we would appreciate anyone's support. I think this is a team, this is a program. These are young women that deserve that, to play in front of a huge crowd. It just, if you haven't done it in a while and, ourselves included, but man, when you're playing in front of a crowd with a lot of energy, it just adds a level. It just adds something to it, adds a little bit more of a pep in the step. You go down a goal, whatever it may be, you feel like you can fight back. You have the energy, you have the crowd. And so it really does matter. It really makes a difference. Last time we played in the NCAA, people were losing toes to frostbite. It's supposed to be a beautiful night, Friday night. And just, we'd love everyone to show up in SLU blue and, support us into the second round in the NCAA tournament.
Well, thank you, Chris. And I do want to tell you, thank you, because if it wasn't for, teams like yours, the women's soccer, the men's soccer, baseball doing well. And again, I don't want to single anybody out on the opposite way, but like, honestly, this podcast wouldn't have had the momentum that we were able to keep carrying through the fall and the spring to keep getting those numbers for basketball. So I appreciate you guys being good and allowing us to talk about you and, keep people engaged in our show. So I appreciate that.
That's really nice. We appreciate, I can't tell you how much and this will appreciate what you guys are doing. You know what I mean? And just like the spotlight and talking about Billiken athletics and pumping it up and stuff like that. We're in warmups today and they were talking about, Zach, I think you called Hannah Sawyer a heel or something like that. Or
yeah.
They were talking about it in warmups.
That's ridiculous.
Don't people are listening. People appreciate it. Parents are listening. Fans are listening. And it's just really something special that you do and keep churning out weekly content. And, before we were doing it 6 times a year, you were shouting out and you're shouting out swimming and field hockey and all the sport. It does matter. And we appreciate people that support us and we like to support you guys back.
I appreciate that.
Thanks, Coach.
Awesome. Have a great night, guys.
You too.
too.